For over 2 decades, I've helped people pursue their retirement goals. These are people who put in the hard work, built up their savings, and thought they had everything set for their golden years. But here's what no one prepared them for. The day that paycheck stops coming in, everything shifts. Suddenly, that future that they had imagined is not as certain as they thought it would be. But here's one thing that most people overlook when they're planning for retirement, and this one thing could make or break your confidence. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of what you should be looking out for and the steps that you should follow to give you the freedom and independence to live out your golden era. Most people hear the word pension and breathe a sigh of relief. After all, it's designed to give you a steady paycheck after you stop working. But not all pensions are created equal. Some are fixed, so that means that monthly amount you receive never changes no matter how high inflation goes. You get the same amount of money no matter how long you live. While others might include a cost of living adjustment and will increase annually based on inflation and cost of living. Now, when it comes to how much your pension will be, it's very important to understand the word vesting. And this is a word that many people don't know or don't pay attention to. Vesting determines how much of your pension benefit you'll actually receive, and it's typically dependent upon the years of service that you have with your company. So various companies have different vesting schedules. It's important to understand what your company's vesting schedule looks like. If you leave your job early, then you could potentially be leaving your full pension on the table, or you may end up with a lot less than you had intended on. There's also a big difference between a defined benefit plan and a defined contribution plan. One is a plan that we traditionally think of as a pension plan, which is a defined benefit where your employer will provide a set payment amount for the rest of your life. And the other is a defined contribution plan where you invest money into that account as well, and the risk is more so put on you as the employee. So if you don't understand the type of pension you have, it can be like building a house on sand, because that number that you see on the paper doesn't show how your pension is going to react to time, the market, and real life. Now, here's where it gets even trickier. Most people assume that if the checks are coming in, then they are safe, but that is not always true. But the truth is that even a reliable pension can be vulnerable, not because it disappears overnight, but because it faces three big hidden risks. The first risk is inflation. That $3,000 check a month that you're going to be receiving won't feel the same in 10, 15, 20 years down the road. If your pension isn't adjusted for inflation, then its value shrinks every year. And that comfortable lifestyle that you had envisioned slowly slips out of reach. The second risk can be longevity. I've seen couples where one person was receiving a pension that paid for most of their monthly expenses. And when they took their pension benefit, they didn't set it up as a joint pension. So when one person passed away, that income stopped coming in, and so the other partner was left at risk. The third risk is company or government solvency. Your pension plan depends on the health of the institution backing that plan. Private companies can go bankrupt and the government plan can be underfunded. I've seen it happen many times that promises that were made in the first place can be changed later. The biggest risk isn't the market or your employer, it's knowing what you're exposed to, because once you're retired, options narrow and your flexibility shrinks. But there is something that no one will tell you. A pension is a great starting point, but you need diversification, not just in your investments, but also in your sources of income in retirement. Here's what I mean. So your pension can cover your essentials like housing, food, and healthcare. Now add Social Security to that. It's not much, but it is another stream of income. Then maybe you have some rental income, maybe you have dividends from a brokerage account, or cash from a part-time job. Each of these is a different tap. And so the more taps that you have, the less pressure that you have on any one of them to carry the full weight. This is because retirement isn't a single phase event. It's a 20 to 30 year journey. Your income plan needs to evolve with each stage of that journey. So when your grandkids come ask if you can take them on that dream trip, you don't have to check your pension statement to see if you can do it. Once all your income streams are in place, the next step is knowing exactly how to use them. A lot of people take money as they need it without a clear plan or tax strategy. Every withdrawal just becomes a guess. But a strategic withdrawal plan changes everything. It's about knowing which accounts to withdraw from first, how much to take, and when. So you keep your money working for you and less money going to taxes and penalties. So let's make it simple. There are three common types of retirement accounts. The first is the taxable account, also known as a brokerage account. Then second, we have tax deferred accounts. These are things like 401k plans, traditional or rollover IRAs. And then finally, we have what are called tax-free accounts if you meet the conditions, and that's going to be things like a Roth IRA. Each one has different rules. Depending on when you pull from those accounts, you could potentially face different tax ramifications. For example, pulling from your 401k when you're 49 years old could mean that one, you faced an early withdrawal penalty, and two, the money that you took out of the account will be added to your taxable income. And that means that could potentially put you in a higher tax bracket than you were intending to be in. So your withdrawal plan should be built to balance two things. First, we want to make sure the income you're receiving covers your needs. And second, we want to make sure we minimize the amount that you're potentially losing to taxes. You might start by taking money out of your brokerage accounts at the beginning of retirement so that your tax deferred accounts can continue growing. Or you might take a different approach where you take money out of all accounts so that you remain in a lower tax bracket. It's not about guessing, it's about having a map, because that is what I tell every client. It's not about how much you have saved, it's about how long it will last and how you feel while spending it. Now, even if you have the perfect retirement plan on paper, life is unpredictable. Are you prepared for that? Life usually deceives us when we least expect it. I've sat across the table from many clients who found themselves in a situation where their partner passed away and they weren't the ones who were managing the finances for the family. So in a short span of time, they had to deal with losing a loved one, figuring out how to manage the finances all on their own. I've also worked with many clients that were forced into retirement earlier than we had planned. Unexpected things like health and family issues can cause people to go into retirement earlier than expected. So now we're not planning for a 30-year retirement, we're planning for a 40-year retirement and trying to make the money last as long as we can in that type of situation. This is the part that most people don't want to think about. But what if you don't plan for the unexpected? It can unravel everything that you've worked for. That's why your retirement plan needs to be more than just numbers. It needs to be resilient. So this means having a plan for long-term care before it becomes urgent. This means making sure your spouse can carry on without you financially if something happens to you. And thinking beyond your own timeline, because you might live to 95, 100, and longevity is real and expensive. This is about being prepared for the worst always. Because the people who thrive in retirement aren't always the ones who save the most. They're the ones who built in room for life to happen. So the fact is that information changes nothing without action. You need to act now. I've seen too many smart people nod along with everything we just discussed and still walk away without a plan. They wait for the right time and for clarity, but here is what they don't realize. The moment you take one step forward, the next one becomes clearer. Maybe the next step is reviewing your pension options with someone who understands them. Or maybe it's setting up a secondary income stream while you're still working. Or finally sitting down with your spouse and preparing for your golden years. You don't have to figure out everything today, but you do need to begin somewhere, because waiting does not protect your future, planning does. And the best time to start is always before you think you're ready. Too many people walk into retirement thinking that the hard part is over, when in reality, this is when the real test begins. You don't need guesswork. You need a strategy that turns your pension into the backbone of a confident retirement. If you don't have that yet, I am here to help. I'm offering a complimentary retirement strategy session that helps you take what you have and turn it into a future on your terms. Click the link below in the description to schedule your appointment. If this video gave you a clearer view of what is possible with your pension, then check out this video here while I describe what could be holding you back from growing your wealth. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a lovely day.